Alright, what's going on everybody? It's Sam from Bet. In this video I'll be doing my main card predictions for UFC on ESPN 31 Font versus Aldo. I'll divide these videos as follows. I'll talk about the previous results real quick, then on to the picks for the main cards and the bets that I'm taking. Then I'm going to be breaking down to you guys the main card. If you're interested to hearing the breakdowns and the bets for the prelims and the pro bets and the lock of the night and top 2 parlay discussions that I do, this is part of my Patreon $10 tier and $50 tier. So stick until the end, I'll show you how you can jump into that if you're interested, alright? So as I always do, guys, I try to put the results from the previous card. This is the result for UFC Fight Night 298. I basically lost 1 unit, and in proportion to what I bet was 27%, right? In terms of the picks, I didn't do well, so it was a fairly, dull card for me. But in terms of the overall results, if you have never seen this, I keep some metrics myself. I record these things. I don't use any third-party tool, but I do this myself just to show to anyone that's interested. So basically, I have 620% profit for the year. If I'm gonna sum everything that I have from the start of the channel in terms of unit size, 111 units in profit. I also separate these things in different segments. When I bet, I talk about high, medium, and low quality bets. So these are the charts, so you guys can see the profit or the loss in each segment. All right, and this is the evolutions through the year. So it was pretty timid, the profit in November, but let's see how things gonna go for December. All right. So guys, as I told you guys, let me real quick comment about the picks and the bets for the main card. I basically, it's quite an interesting card to bet, this one, but especially for the prelims, so chiefly I don't have any major bets for the main card, but real quick, between Crute and Jamahal, I'm picking Crute but not betting. Bryan Barberena versus Matt Brown, I'm picking Barberena but not betting. Brandon Allen versus Chris Curtis, I'm picking Allen. Was tempted to bet Allen, but due to the steep lines, decided to pass. Riddell versus Rafael Fiziev, I'm picking Fiziev but not betting. And Rob Font for Jose Aldo, I'm picking Font and not betting. And I'm saying I'm not betting them straight or parlaying, but I'm interested in prop bets that are these color code means. But as the props haven't been released yet, I don't have that, and this is part of one of the Patreon tier, right? So just real quick, guys, going through the main card as I told you. So starting off with Rafael Fiziev and Riddell. It's an interesting fight, guys. I was tempted to betting Fiziev here, but after going with careful analysis and watching the footage, I think Riddell could make this very close and could be either a split decision, could be even a knockout, either way, because these guys will trade shot for shot. Fiziev has more chances on the feet, in my opinion. He's the more clean Muay Thai fighter, uses better the body kick, better timing overall, arguably hits a little bit harder. But Riddell is a big, tough guy himself, these both too short and compact lightweights, but they pack power. Riddell is the better wrestler here, that's my concern, because he's physical, he can push guys against the cage and basically bully them. Fiziev is a strong guy himself. He probably will be able to stuff the takedowns and get out and keep it standing. Riddell also favors a striking matchup. That's why, by my calculations, Fiziev would be a tiny favorite. But I decided to pass this one altogether because I could see, a shot landing for Riddell, and like I told you guys, Riddell being able to, push Fiziev against the cage, which is probably gonna be his game plan here. So that's why I ended up passing altogether. But in terms of a pick, I'll go with Fiziev, and these are my calculations and comments to you guys. Brandon Allen versus Chris Curtis. This one, like I told you guys, I was tempted to bet Allen. He should be a strong favorite here. He's the bigger, longer man, better wrestler, better grappler. On the striking part, you can argue that Chris Curtis would have more advantage, but it's quite tricky because Allen again has the height and the reach, and Allen, he hanged in there in his last fight against Punahele Soriano. So he hanged in there with a big puncher, Curtis is more clean in terms of technique, but I think Puna was the harder hitter of the two. So you can argue that Allen can hang in there with Curtis, which gives Allen a pretty good advantage, So Allen, by my calculations, he's like around 65% favorite, which is again a strong favorite. So it would make sense to bet him, but I'm quite curious to see whether Chris Curtis can stuff most of the takedowns. Maybe he can, because he's not a big middleweight. He used to be a big welterweight, but not a big middleweight. But he's short and compact, and he's experienced and strong. So it's gonna be interesting. I don't want to bet Brandon Allen, parlay him at minus 350, minus 400 to miss too much. To throw money on Brandon Allen at this point, at least. So I'm gonna watch this one. I see Allen as a strong pick. Allen by decision, if the price is right, may be interesting because Chris Curtis has a good no takedown defense game, and he's not easy to submit. Even though Allen is dangerous on the ground. But Allen by decision, I may take that one. Fight go the distance. Has to be at the right price, but not bad idea as well in my opinion. I think this most likely goes the distance, but I can also see Allen finishing, by submission, or even Chris. Chris surprised me knocking out Halls in the last fight. Halls was on my strongest pick, broke some of my parlays, but so we'll see if we can do that again. I don't think so, but you know, given the odds, I don't want to play with that at these lines. Bryan Barberena versus Matt Brown, another interesting one. It was back and forth here, guys. I think the lines are a little bit off for this one. I could see Brown potentially as a live dog, but most likely we're gonna see Barberena, moving forward, using that pressure fighter volume game, getting hit, but walking through the shots and putting pressure on Brown. Brown is excellent on the front foot. He's not good in the defense part. He actually doesn't need much because he's always on the front foot. So gonna be a fight between two guys that are very aggressive. Actually, Matt Brown, throughout his career, he learned to pace himself a little bit more. Especially in his last fight, he used a more technical approach, which used it pretty well against to him, fit well to him in this point of his career. So I'm curious to see whether Brown can be the technical guy on the outside because he has the reach here, has long arms. Bryan Marina, more like a stocky guy, but not stocky, but he's sort of has a strong body, but not that long in terms of the limbs. So Brown could use the range here, play the technical game on the outside using jabs. He would be smart to do it. I'm not betting him just because it's not much his style, even though he showed that his last fight. But if you're gonna force me to bet, I would bet Brown. To me it's a dog or a pass here, especially Brown by decision because Barberena has a strong chin. Even though Barberena's chin start getting tested, he got dropped. He got TKO twice and he got dropped already sometimes. But I still think it's pretty strong his chin, and Brown hits fairly hard, but I don't think hard enough to put Barberena out. So to me, maybe the best bet here would be Brown by decision as an underdog. Fight go the distance because Barberena puts pressure on. Brown is now 41, but he's still in shape. So this probably goes the distance. So maybe fight go the distance or Brown by decision would be my bet here. Jimmy Crute versus Jamahal Hill. It's another interesting one. Hill's super tall and long, light heavyweight. Sorry. He hits fairly hard, naturally heavy-handed. He's not the most skillful fighter in there. He's basically a 1-2 fighter with a leg kick, but works well for him because he's tall, he's long, he's accurate. Pretty good boxer. Jimmy Crute, more like a power puncher on the outside. He tries to get inside using the power puncher and shoots. He does his best to work on the ground. Getting top position, using ground and pound, or taking opponents back and finishing them. I think Crute has to be smart here, guys, because if he's going to try to get inside too fast against Hill, he could start getting hit by the jab and by the 1-2. I don't think he's going to like it. He could potentially get dropped as well. Hill he's a long guy. He's not that athletic. At least he doesn't look athletic, but he's pretty strong in there due to the size again. I'm quite curious to this one as well. To me, again, it's a dog or pass. Hill in a live bet would be interesting because Jimmy Crute, if he starts fast, guys, and he cannot put Hill out, I could see Hill taking over this fight because Hill's a bigger man. Crute, he can, push too hard too early and start guessing. So watch out for that. If you're watching this live, take a look if you could catch Jamahal Hill, as a heavy underdog between the rounds. This would be probably the best bet on this one. Again, if you're gonna force me to bet, I would bet Hill at the current lines, even though I'm picking Jimmy. Because I could see, again, Hill surviving, Hill being able to stuff some takedowns, even losing a clear decision, even a 10-8 sorry, not a clear decision, losing at the 8th round in the first, but somehow taking over, even putting Crute out in the round 3 or something, you know. So to me, another dogger pass here, guys. Rob Font versus Aldo in the main event. Excellent fight, guys. To be honest with you, in a 3-round fight, I would bet Aldo at the current lines. I expect this to be a very interesting fight. I think Rob Font may lose the first 2 even, you know, so Font in a live bet as well, maybe not a bad idea, you know. The problem here, guys, with Jose Aldo is that he tends to perform super well in the first 3, then he slows down, the first 2 actually, then he slows down on the 3rd, on the 4th, on the 5th. He knows that, he tries to pace himself. But again, guys, he's fighting another elite opponent. Rob Font is a tall, long guy for the division. Good everywhere, you know. He has a small edge in height and reach, but could be the difference here, just because he uses that boxing very well, that jab and that 1-2. It's pretty good, you know. Interesting enough, if Aldo start landing the leg kicks, countering that jab, the tides could turn, you know. If Aldo has the experience, has the skills, has the power, has the athleticism. But I'm gonna have to reward a little bit more the consistency here, you know, even though the age here is an interesting factor because they're about the same, but Rob Font's a little bit more fresh in his career, hasn't been in so many wars. That's why he's the favorite here. But again, guys, back and forth here, you know. If you got another one you're gonna force me to bet, I would bet Aldo, even though I think the lines are pretty much correct by the bookies, but I could see Aldo landing those leg kicks, you know, and being able to shut Font down a little bit, you know, and being winning a split decision, you know, close decision. I don't think they finish each other, even though Aldo by finish a little bit more likely, you know, especially in the early rounds. Font, if you think that Font finishes Aldo, gotta be from in round 4 or 5 or round 3 arguably, but most likely 4 or 5. You know, but again, it will depend a lot on Font's strategy on this one. I don't think he's gonna risk much because you don't want to risk against Jose Aldo, you know. So it's a tricky one again, another tricky fight to call, to bet. You know, again, dog or pass to me. I'll probably bet Aldo by decision. You know, it's probably gonna be my bet, or fight go the distance if the price is right, like plus 160, something like this, which I don't think we're gonna find these lines, but never know. So I left out there as a strategy. So let's see how this goes. And this will do for me, for the main card, guys. Like I told you guys, I have two Patreon tiers, how this would help you. With the $10 tiers, you get early releases when I have them, but you get, like I told you guys, the prelims, you know, the predictions for the prelims, the bets for the prelims, the prop bets, and the lock of the night, the top 2 parlay discussion. Let me just show you guys how did it look like in the last event. So I always show 2 options in the lock of the night and top 2 parlay. Option number 1 said Tyler Santos all in, not always my most favorite option, but I gave that as an option, said she was a strong pick. She ended up cashing. Then I got some dogs here that I played. You know, it was interesting. They lost, but either way they won a round, so arguably it's not that worst bet, the worst bet. And the prop bets that I took, they basically broke, you know, even with a little profit. So the option number 1 was better, even though I in general I use my option number 2 because I like to diversify more. But I give this to you guys, and as an interesting one. You guys can see here I have Cheyenne Buys as a strong pick, so I'm giving you guys out this one. I'm not gonna, maybe option number 1 gonna be all in her, but I'm still not sure. I'm still, you know, covering. There are other bets that I'm taking, so if you'd like to hear more, jump in on the $10 or the $50 tiers. For the 50, it's all lines, all bets that I'm taking line by line, just for you guys to see how it looked like in the last event. So I ended up putting some bets out there, and also I bet Godinez. I put some parlays there. I lost some dogs that I bought, but I got a good bet on Vieira and Tate going the distance, you know. So this is how it looks like. It's all the lines that I take line by line, and I'm combining some of this with the future cards that I have as open bets. So if you'd like to jump into the $50 tiers, the My Ultimate package, because you can basically see everything that I'm doing. Alright, so this will do for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like, subscribe, share with your friends, and I'll talk to you next time. This is Sam from Zrodder Bet, bringing the best, most consistent and transparent betting strategy for you.